Hello. So far, we have seen about how to integrate Spring Cloud Eureka Server, and we have also seen how to integrate Spring Cloud API Gateway. Now, we will see about OpenFeign. As I said earlier, OpenFeign also from Spring Cloud family, and OpenFeign is one of the projects as like Spring Cloud Eureka Server, Spring Cloud OpenFeign, Ribbon, Joule, Spring Cloud Load Balancer, Spring Cloud API Gateway. Then what is Fane? Fane is a declarative web service client. It makes writing web services clients easier. To use Fane, create an interface and annotate it. It has a pluggable annotation support. And one of the main reason is OpenFeign is used to handle client-side load balancing. Like if any situation occurred, we there is no necessity to write a REST template. Then everyone is preferring to use OpenFeign. And also, like if we are using OpenFeign, there is no necessity of writing unit test cases. Like for many years, we used to write a REST template and and boilerplate code also so much when we are using REST template. So to overcome this boilerplate code related, we are preferring OpenFeign, and when compared to REST client, REST template, OpenFeign is offering very good features. And what is the difference between a REST client and Feign client? Feign client is a declarative and just an annotation for an interface. But in REST template, we are end up with boilerplate units test cases related code. That means more code we need to write. And if you are using Fine client, there is no necessity to write any unit test cases. But REST template, we need to write test cases for unit testing. And Fine client is well suited for CRUD operations. But REST template is not suited for CRUD operations. Whereas in Fine client fault tolerance and client-side load balancing built in REST template, fault tolerance and client-side load balancing is not built in, but can be achieved with additional effort. We may get some doubt like what is the difference between earlier Spring Cloud Netflix Fane and OpenFeign. Initially, Netflix started Fane, but there are certain reasons Netflix Fane got stopped, and OpenFeign already offering so many features. Since OpenFeign is offering more features than Netflix, then eventually everyone started adopting OpenFeign. Then how to configure OpenFeign in microservices? Like basically whatever the project we are going to generate, we need to look for dependencies. Suppose you are writing a client side project. Earlier we have seen server side, whatever we have done so far, that is server side programming. Now OpenFeign is purely for client side programming. So if we are writing client side programming, we need to know what are the dependencies required. So as like we are going to project, then web dependency is needed. We need to write web dependency. Then OpenFeign. This is a Spring -cloud -starter -OpenFeign. This is one of the important dependency we need to ensure. Otherwise, your client project will not be treated as a OpenFeign. So this dependency we need to ensure. Next one is Eureka Client. Because server side, all the services are registered at Eureka Server Client. Then our program also client side project. So our client side project also should register in Eureka Client. It is not very mandatory, but if it is registered, it would be good. It will work effectively. So for that, Netflix Eureka Client dependency also we need to add in the project. Then other dependencies, dev tools and Lombok we need to use. For Lombok is like to set up Lombok with any build tool, we have to specify that Lombok dependency is required to compile our source code. When we need a smooth compiling of our source code, Lombok dependency we need to add. And dev tools, we know automatically our server will start and stop. For restarting if any code modification happen, server automatically it will restart and it will rebuild again. So for that dev tools we need to use it. Once a dependency is added, then we are going and checking with the application, like our main application program. Default it will generate a application program. So there we need to write one annotation, that is enable Fane clients. Then only our program is going to become as OpenFeign. And step 3, like as we said, OpenFeign is a kind of interface and annotate it. So we need to define mandatorily, we need to define interface, any interface. If it is a student project, a student interface. If it is a user, we have to define user interface. If it is a university interface we need to define, because this is a client side programming we are going to write, and this interface only going to interact with our server side programming. So for that we need to write @Fane client, and here we are going to define about whichever the service server side we are going to use. So here student microservice we were defined earlier in one of the project. So that student microservice we need to define, so that this interface will try to interact with server side programming. And we will define some methods. It can be get mechanism or whatever the method. So we are defining the method, and we are not going to include any logic. Method will not be holding any logic. So here method signature only we will be defining, but this implementation will be available at controller. So in interface we are just defining the method signature, and that implementation will be available at respective controller. Then once we are ensuring these things, then we can easily achieve OpenFeign client-side programming, so that your client-side program can easily interact with server-side programming. This is about OpenFeign. In our next section, we will be seeing how to define practically, and we will see with some examples, and we will also see CRUD operations using Fane client. And our main primary motto would be to interact server-side programming. We are going to define client-side programming. So this is about OpenFeign. Thank you.